Alright guys, welcome back to Strong Successful Male. So for today, I'll be covering a part 3, or a Q&A if you will, of a story I covered a few weeks ago, which is titled, Wife Ruined Her Second Chance, so Husband Used Her Spicy Pictures to Get Everything, Including Her Cats. And this is, like I said, a Q&A, update, that type of thing, because this guy, he's writing in to answer a lot of questions, guys, in the comment section, respond to comments, and fill in more details, elaborate on some things. And as a recap, that's about the guy who ultimately made out in the divorce after getting rid of his wife. His wife, who you all recall, from the get-go, the red flags were there that he shouldn't have gotten together with her. He eventually wanted to have kids one day. She made it clear from the get-go she didn't want to have kids. And there are all these other signs there. Their bedroom life was slowing down, and then they got married and pretty much came to a screeching halt. All these reasons not to be with her. She was ultimately cheating on him. Big surprise. After he found out about it and got all the evidence, he gave her one other chance, which was a bad idea. And then, no surprise, she went right back to her old tricks about to talk to the guy she was having an affair with. He got rid of her. In the divorce, he got the house. Eventually, he got the dog. He got the cats because she was just a train wreck. And she was basically mattress hopping forever. And our guy, the last laugh. And it ended with him. He eventually got together with another woman. She was a single MOM, which was like, whoa, danger. Red flags, it's a trap, but he actually lucked out because they have a good thing going, and he's got a happy life. But anyhow, that's the recap here. So I'm going to go through his update here because a lot of guys have questions and everything, and he openly admits that back in the day, he was very much the blue-pilled guy, made a lot of mistakes, didn't know any better because he was raised that way, you know? But in his marriage now, he's learned a lot of his mistakes, even though he did marry single MOM, and he has a pretty good thing going, which I'm happy for, but it's rare. So he continues on with his story. He says, Hi SSM. I just saw my story was posted. I'd like to clarify and clear up some unanswered questions. To all those who said I was a blue-pilled simp, I was. 100%. Bro, I'm glad you could admit that. Because some guys will get all bent out of shape when I point these things out. You know, it's like, come on here. You got to know. I was raised by my mother and stepfather. I had 2 sisters. I was taught from a young age to respect and treat women like they belonged on a pedestal. Yeah, and you saw how well that worked out. You know, it doesn't mean you have to go around being a jerk, but putting them on the pedestal like they're like royalty, it's the dumbest thing in the world. You treat anybody, even dudes, like they're on the pedestal. Nobody respects anybody that kisses their butt, you know? You can be respectful and just a good, decent guy, but there's a difference between that and kissing somebody's butt and rolling out the red carpet. And I know most of you guys understand the difference, the balance. My stepdad, who for all intents and purposes is a father to me, even said the happy wife, happy life saying, smack to your stepdad. God's sakes. And how well did that work out for him? That doesn't take away from the other great traits they did teach me, though. But it definitely made my dating life very difficult. Well, I believe they could have been great parents, but in that regard, they were terrible in that particular field. While I may not be in a lot of guys' view red-pilled, when I got together with Katie, the blue pill was gone. Katie is now his current wife, the single MOM. We can definitely debate about that, about getting together with the single MOM, but I'm glad your situation makes you happy, and obviously you learned a lot of your lessons here. If you got a good thing going with a single MOM and she's not behaving like, the stereotypical ones, that's rare. And I do make a point saying they're not all that way, but believe me, the majority are behaving manners and have characteristics that, are undesirable. A lot of people wondered why I was still interacting with Jessica after we split up. Yeah, so was I. It was because under legal advice, her name was still on the house and she still had a right to her belongings inside. Well, okay, just get a bunch of your friends to put all the belongings in the driveway, like a freaking yard sale, and she can come pick them up. As long as she communicated about when she was able to get her things, I could not remove them myself without potentially getting into trouble. Okay. I probably would have done it anyway. That's why I heard her little stories. I wasn't about to let her into the house alone. So she would swing by to grab her things and just try to interact with me. I would hover to make sure that my stuff stayed. However, when she did come by to pick up stuff, I always had a witness present. Very smart. A friend, family member, or Katie. I wasn't about to be falsely accused of anything. It was annoying, but I was just happy to see her coming to get her stuff. It sounds to me that she took a long time to get her stuff. I can see her literally walking in. Oh, okay, I'll get this pillow. And then talk to you for 45 minutes, then leave. Come back 3 days later. Okay, I'll get this spoon or this dish set that grandma left me. Dragging it out as long as possible. Maybe to get you to change your mind, just to make things difficult. That doesn't seem to me. It seems to drag out for a really long time. As for the affair partner, I know a lot of people wish I would have gone after him and told his wife. Keep in mind that divorce dates are not a priority with the courts. It was almost 2 years, start to finish, with the court process. Between meetings with the mediator, filing court documents, waiting for approvals, etc. That was a long 2 years, man. Because I used to work at Jessica's workplace, I did not want to risk getting her fired or causing other issues. In other words, to make things more difficult in your divorce with her and maybe getting more alimony. I understand that. I would just go scorched earth after you're divorced on that motherfucker. That probably would have complicated things. By the time the divorce was finalized, Jessica was headfirst into her HOE phase, and I just started officially dating Katie, and honestly didn't care anymore. Well, indifference is good. I just wanted to close that chapter of my life, burn it, and never return. I understand. But still, that guy should have gotten something. Sure, life will pay him back one way or another, but it's always enjoyable that you can have a hand in that type of thing. As for my current relationship with Katie, single mothers are high risk. I knew it going in. Smack! You knew it going in. You didn't mention that part. I mean, I'm glad you learned these things, but still, you got lucky, man. That's why there was some vetting on both our ends. We talked online for months prior, and she knew I wasn't rolling in money. She knew she wasn't getting a sugar daddy. I knew she was not heavily relying on others to take care of things, so I knew she was not a freeloader. Well, I do recall you saying you talked to her for months before you officially got together. That's some serious screening and vetting. But remember, people can hide a heck of a lot of things about themselves if they want to when you're just chit-chatting through dating apps or whatever. See, we both had a past with partners having affairs. Before anyone questions what she said, the story has been confirmed by her ex-husband. Well, that's interesting, because I've known a few people that have been divorced, and they got together, and since both of them had bad backgrounds, bad relationships, bad divorces, it actually kind of helped them move on together, and they had a good thing, because I know a couple right now who both were screwed over big time in their divorces, and they got together, and they're quite happy, and obviously they both went through similar stories. His boys called his now wife Katie's ex-husband, his boys called him out on it when he was trying to play the high and mighty card when one of the boys got caught lying. Katie, my wife, and I went into this knowing we both would struggle with trusting another person. I would argue that in our case, again not the norm, it allowed us to trust each other better. If one of us was suspicious of a situation, the other would understand why and just be blatantly honest about it. We realized early that we both would have to support each other if we wanted to work out. Well, it sounds like you probably have very good communication from the get-go, and you probably have, both of you have set boundaries and discussed these things. All is healthy. No, I did not adopt her boys, as their dad is still in their life, kinda. He spent years just being the so-called fun parent and not going to school functions or doctor's appointments. Once he had them at a skate park and there was an accident. Instead of going to the hospital, he dropped my stepson off with us, said he is lying about being confused and in pain. Turned out that he had a severe concussion from an impact on the front of the head. If he wasn't wearing a helmet, it would be worse. Man, what a freaking scumbag. What kind of father would your kid hits his head and could be an issue and he can't make the time to take him to the freaking hospital, and it turned out the kid, what a low life. I hope that kid realized the piece of shit his dad was. And right there, this is a situation where, how many guys have at least been on a date with a woman who's divorced, and we talk about her ex and say, oh, he's this, he's that. Well, when you can actually see it firsthand through the actions that, in fact, he is a lowlife, and that backs it up. With all that being said, I still look at those boys as my own. There's not a day that goes by that they aren't on my mind. And I didn't make that decision based on my relationship with their mother. I did that based on the relationship I built with the boys. Their mom was just the catalyst. As I stated before, blood means nothing to me, and I always wanted a good family, even if it was once broken. Haha. Look, man, if those boys, her boys, are great kids and they treat you with respect and they listen to you and they're not trying to use you or cause problems or cause drama and they're good kids, great. I mean, technically they're not always going to be your kid, and they probably realize their dad's a freaking jackass, but still, cool. I'm glad you have a good relationship with him, and I know you have a son with her that you had together, so that's cool too. Relationship dynamic. SSM, you questioned the us first, then the kids. I remember you mentioned that. You said, we come first, then the kids. Yeah, right. Well, he explains a little more what he meant, because the way you wrote it made me think that she'd put you before the boys. No. He says, that isn't meant in a direct way, but more of a way of life. Our marriage comes before the kids. It's about making our marriage first in the home. Too many kids see parents at opposite ends of the table. Too many adults split after the kids move out because the relationship was based on the children. When one of us comes home, we greet each other before the kids. If there's stuff to be done, we support each other before the kids. Okay, well, that's great, And yeah, I mean, I can't tell you when I was a kid growing up, I can't think of one single. I knew a lot of kids growing up. You go to their houses and go play video games or play basketball or football in the backyard or go swimming, and you see a lot of parents out there. And I can't think of one freaking family growing up where I actually saw the parents actually enjoying each other's company, holding hands, hugging, or, you know what I mean? None. My parents were the exception because you could tell they loved each other, and that's the irony. Everybody thinks I came from a fucked up family. No, I didn't. I just observed this my whole freaking life. So if you guys have you actually can show through your actions that you're happy to see each other, you're showing a positive relationship that those boys can see. So that's good. Think about household chores, for example. Also, we show affection to each other, PG-13 often. Define PG-13. We try and model a good relationship. We argue and come to resolutions in front of the kids. We never disagree on parenting in front of the kids. Good. Don't ever do that. You got to be a united front in front of those kids. Even if you disagree with each other, you can debate things when the kids aren't listening or there. But believe me, they're always listening. Don't be fooled. For us, it's about making sure we both feed the marriage and continue building our relationship. For the boys, it's about modeling how a man should lead and treat his wife and how a wife should support and respect her husband. How you can be masculine and be the head of the family, but still honor and respect your wife's opinion. They see both of us use support for each other and them as one unit. Now, I know you're thinking of if you have to say one or the other scenario, again, that falls on us first. And in that case, we both agree that as a mother/father, we are to protect our children from anything they cannot survive solely by themselves. Kind of a mutual agreement that is a way of respecting each other's wishes type of thing. Years ago, I will absolutely admit, I was a simp. A blue-pilled idiot that put a woman before himself. A guy that settled for mediocrity. I can honestly say I am not a Chad. I did want a family. After the divorce, I did get lucky with a single mom gamble. It was a massive gamble, dude. It was the roulette table and putting all your money on number 7. But it happened to roll number 7. While there was a learning curve for both of us, I will tell you that if you focus on the relationship and not the person, your outcome will be better. She loves that I can lead the family and make her feel loved and safe. I love the respect and support I get from her. And yes, SSM, that means fun time is often and definitely never starfish job. Okay, man. Well, I'm glad you wrote in, cleared up a few things. I'm glad you got a good thing going, And it definitely worked that you had such a miserable marriage the first time around. You learned, I don't ever going to go through that crap again a second time. And she obviously learned things too, And it sounds like you have very good communication. She obviously is an exception compared to the wackos out there. There's so many guys write in and deal with, But never, ever, ever lose focus that things could change, Especially when women get to be, I guess, the late 40s and they hit the pre-perimenopause thing. That can unleash Miss Hyde. So be aware of that, but stick with your boundaries, stick with good communication, be a leader, and don't even kid yourself that there won't be testing from time to time. If there's a perception of weakness, or missing a little drama, it's going to happen. But continue to lead, be a good leader of those boys, prepare all the boys, the son you have together, as well as her sons, who are your stepsons, prepare them to be men. You're raising men in there and preparing to be adults that can take care of themselves in the world. The biggest problem I've been witnessing for more than 20 years is that parents are no longer doing what they got to do to prepare their children for real life. A tough, harsh, competitive, unfair, unkind world. My mother said it years ago, and she nailed it when she said that I know I did my job right as a parent when my kids no longer need me. It's the truth. But the problem is so many parents out there, usually mothers, need to be needed. So they don't quite raise them the way they should be, boys and girls, especially boys, because they always come back to mom and need mom because that's your role. No, you're doing your job as a parent if they don't need you. But of course, you want your kids to, want you in their lives and involve you and everything like that. But that's what you got to do. And that means you're not always going to be the popular parent. This nonsense where people talk about, my kid is my best friend. That's the stupidest crap ever, okay? I stand by that. If your children are adults in their mid-20s and 30s and they have a career and they're paying their bills and they have their shit together, and then you want to be best friends, great, because your job is done. But you can't have your 15-year-old son or daughter being your best friend. That's the stupidest shit ever. You still have to be a parent and lay down the law and make tough choices, even if it means you're unpopular for a while. I unfortunately have known a lot of parents, and still do, that would rather be popular than be the unpopular parent and do the right job. I'm from the generation where, guess what, there was none of this best friend shit. My dad, many a times when I was younger, I was saying quite bad words about him behind my... I wouldn't let him hear, he'd kick my ass. But he made sure, and my mother too, they did the job as a good parent. And so you do that, be a good leader, and be fair, and all that. You're going to have, your sons are going to become darn good men, and I wish you the best. So, sir, I appreciate you writing in. Glad you're doing well, and I hope it continues for you. All right, guys, that's it for today. Be sure to comment down below. Let me know what you think about this. And, guys, you got your own story you want to share? Send it my way, strongsuccessfulmale@gmail.com. And if it's a good one, I'll definitely cover it. And be sure to like the video, share it with your friends, and subscribe. And I'll catch you next time.